Single father Marcus had nothing: worn boots, empty wallet, broken heart. But when a gunman aimed at the woman he loved, Marcus didn't hesitate. He ran toward the bullet, not away. What happened next made his 6-year-old daughter smash her piggy bank and give everything she had saved. Her reason broke everyone. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. Marcus stood in the doorway of the small diner, his body still trembling from what had just happened. Blood seeped through his white shirt, spreading like spilled wine across his chest. His daughter Emma's lunchbox slipped from his other hand, hitting the floor with a soft thud. "Someone call 911. Sarah screamed, her hands pressing against his wound. "Marcus, stay with me. Please stay with me." But Marcus wasn't thinking about himself. His eyes searched frantically through the chaos until they found what he was looking for: a small face peeking from behind the counter, terrified but unharmed. "Emma," he whispered. "She's safe." Then everything went black. 3 months earlier, everything was different. Marcus Williams was doing his best. That's what single fathers do when the world throws them into deep water without a life jacket. His wife Rebecca had died 2 years ago from cancer, leaving him with their 6-year-old daughter Emma and a heart that felt like broken glass. Every morning started the same way. Marcus would wake up at 5:30, pack Emma's lunch with care, braid her hair the way Rebecca used to, and walk her to school holding her small hand in his. Then he would work double shifts at the construction site, come home exhausted, help Emma with homework, read her bedtime stories, and collapse into bed only to do it all again the next day. Money was tight. Very tight. The medical bills from Rebecca's treatment had destroyed their savings. Their apartment was small, the furniture was old, and sometimes Marcus would skip meals to make sure Emma had enough to eat. But he never let her see him struggle. To Emma, her father was a superhero who could fix anything. "Daddy, are you Superman?" Emma asked one night, her big brown eyes staring up at him. Marcus smiled, tucking the blanket around her. "Why do you ask, princess?" "Because you're always saving me. And you're strong. And you never get tired." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "I do get tired, sweetheart. But you give me strength. You're my superpower." Emma giggled and wrapped her small arms around his neck. "I love you to the moon and back, Daddy." "I love you to the moon and back times infinity," Marcus whispered, kissing her forehead. Then Sarah came into their lives. Marcus met her at the hospital where he was taking Emma for a routine checkup. Sarah was a nurse there, and when Emma got scared of the needle, Sarah knelt down and made her laugh with silly faces until the tears stopped. "You're really good with her," Marcus said afterward. Sarah smiled. "Kids are honest. They show you who you really are." Something in her eyes made Marcus feel seen for the first time in 2 years. They started talking. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinners turned into weekend walks in the park with Emma between them, swinging on their arms. Emma loved Sarah. And slowly, carefully, Marcus started to let his heart open again. "Is Sarah going to be my new mommy?" Emma asked one evening. Marcus paused, choosing his words carefully. "Would you like that?" Emma nodded seriously. "Mommy told me before she went to heaven that it was okay for you to be happy again. She said she wanted us to find someone who would love us." Marcus felt tears burning his eyes. "Your mother was the wisest person I ever knew." Sarah made everything brighter. She helped with Emma's homework when Marcus worked late. She cooked meals for them. She laughed at Marcus's terrible jokes and held him when the grief still came in waves late at night. For the first time since Rebecca died, Marcus felt like maybe, just maybe, they would be okay. But someone from Sarah's past was watching. His name was Derek Mason, and he was everything Marcus wasn't: wealthy, connected, and dangerous. Sarah had dated him 3 years ago before she discovered who he really was. Derek owned several businesses in the city, but everyone knew his real money came from darker places. Drug deals. Protection rackets. Things that happened in shadows. When Sarah tried to leave him, Derek had threatened her. "Nobody leaves me," he had said, his voice cold. Nobody. Sarah had gotten a restraining order and moved to a different part of the city. She changed her phone number, deleted her social media, and tried to disappear. For 3 years it worked. Until Derek saw her with Marcus and Emma at the park. The first threat came in the mail. Sarah opened the envelope and went pale. Inside was a photograph of her, Marcus, and Emma from last Sunday. Across the image, someone had written in red marker, "She's mine." "Marcus, I need to tell you something," Sarah said that night, her hands shaking. Marcus listened as she explained everything: Derek, the threats, the restraining order. His jaw tightened with every word. "You should have told me sooner," he said quietly. "I know. I was afraid. I thought he had forgotten about me." Marcus pulled her close. I won't let anything happen to you. Or to Emma. Derek isn't someone you can just stand up to, Sarah warned. He has people everywhere. He's dangerous. So am I when it comes to protecting my family, Marcus said. The threats escalated quickly. Someone slashed Sarah's car tires. A brick came through Marcus's apartment window with a note, "Leave her or die." Marcus reported everything to the police, but they said without proof Derek was behind it, they couldn't do anything. The restraining order is active, the officer said. But we need evidence if he's violating it. Marcus started walking Emma to school and back every day. He changed their routines, took different routes, always looked over his shoulder. Sarah wanted to leave, to disappear again, but Marcus wouldn't let her. Running didn't work before, he said. This has to end. Emma noticed the tension. Daddy, are you worried about something? Marcus knelt down to her level. I'm just being extra careful, princess. But I promise you, everything is going to be okay. You always keep your promises, Emma said, hugging him tight. Then Derek made his move. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Marcus had just picked up Emma from school and they were meeting Sarah at their favorite diner for an early dinner. Emma was chattering excitedly about her school play, skipping beside Marcus as they walked. Sarah was already inside, sitting at their usual booth by the window. She waved when she saw them. But Derek was watching from across the street, his face twisted with rage. In his mind, Sarah had betrayed him. She had chosen this nobody, this poor construction worker, over him. Over his money, his power, his control. He had brought a gun. Everything happened so fast. Derek burst through the diner door just as Marcus and Emma entered. People screamed. Someone dropped a plate. Marcus saw the gun in Derek's hand and his entire body went cold. Sarah. Derek shouted. You think you can just replace me? You think this loser can protect you? Sarah stood up, her face white. Derek, please. There are children here. I don't care. Derek's hand was shaking, the gun pointing at Sarah. If I can't have you, nobody can. Marcus's mind was racing. Emma was right beside him, frozen in fear. Sarah was 10 feet away, directly in Derek's line of fire. Other people were screaming, running for the exits. Derek, look at me, Marcus said, his voice steady. Look at me, not her. Derek's eyes shifted to Marcus. You took everything from me. I didn't take anything, Marcus said, slowly moving Emma behind him. Sarah made her own choice. She doesn't belong to anyone. Liar. Derek screamed. She's mine. The gun swung towards Sarah again, and in that split second, Marcus saw everything with perfect clarity. He saw Emma's future, birthday parties, school graduations, her wedding day. He saw Sarah's smile. He saw all the life they could have together. And he knew what he had to do. Marcus ran. Not away from the danger but toward it. Toward Sarah. As Derek's finger tightened on the trigger, Marcus threw himself in front of her, wrapping his arms around Sarah and spinning her away from the line of fire. The gunshot was deafening in the small diner. Marcus felt the bullet punch into his back, felt his legs give way. He heard Emma screaming. Heard Sarah crying his name. Heard Derek's footsteps running away as people tackled him to the ground. But all Marcus could think about was Emma. Emma? He gasped as Sarah lowered him to the floor. Is she safe? She's safe, Sarah sobbed. Marcus, stay with me. Help is coming. Promise me, Marcus whispered, blood on his lips. Promise me you'll take care of her. You're going to take care of her yourself, Sarah said, pressing her hands against his wound. You're going to be fine. But Marcus could feel the darkness closing in. Tell her Daddy loves her to the moon and back. Tell her yourself. Sarah was crying so hard she could barely see. Marcus, please? Emma pushed through the crowd, her small face streaked with tears. Daddy? Daddy, wake up. Marcus used every ounce of strength he had left to smile at her. Be brave, princess. Be brave for Daddy. Then the paramedics arrived, and everything became a blur of sirens and shouting and Emma's screams as they carried Marcus away. The surgery took 9 hours. Sarah sat in the hospital waiting room with Emma curled up in her lap, both of them numb with fear. Marcus's friends from the construction site came. His neighbors came. Emma's teacher came. The waiting room filled with people who loved Marcus, all of them praying for a miracle. Is Daddy going to die? Emma whispered. Sarah held her tighter. Your daddy is the strongest man I know. He's fighting right now, fighting to come back to us. But hour after hour passed with no news. The bullet had torn through Marcus's lung and nicked his spine. He had lost so much blood. Even if he survived, the doctors said he might never walk again. I don't care if he can't walk, Emma said fiercely. I just want my daddy back. At 3 in the morning, a surgeon finally emerged, still in his scrubs. Everyone stood up, holding their breath. He made it through surgery, the doctor said. But he's not out of danger yet. The next 48 hours are critical. Sarah's legs almost gave out with relief. Can we see him? Family only. And just for a moment. Sarah took Emma's hand and they walked down the long hospital corridor to Marcus's room. Nothing could have prepared them for seeing him, pale as paper, tubes everywhere, machines beeping steadily. Daddy? Emma whispered, moving closer to the bed. Marcus's eyes fluttered open just for a second. He saw Emma, saw she was safe, and something like peace crossed his face before he slipped back into unconsciousness. The days that followed were the hardest of their lives. Marcus drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes recognizing them, sometimes lost in fevered dreams. Infections came and went. His body fought battles that no one could see. Sarah never left his side. She slept in the chair beside his bed, held his hand through the worst of it, talked to him even when he couldn't respond. You have to come back to us, she whispered one night when Emma was asleep on the couch. We need you. I need you. I love you, Marcus. I should have said it before, but I'm saying it now. I love you. Emma would come after school every day, crawling into the bed beside her father, talking about her day. I got an A on my spelling test, Daddy. Miss Johnson said you would be proud. Wake up so I can show you. The hospital bills piled up. Marcus had no insurance. Sarah used her savings. Marcus's friends from the construction site held a fundraiser. Strangers who heard the story sent donations. The community rallied around the single father who had taken a bullet for love. On the 7th day, Marcus opened his eyes and stayed awake. Emma? His voice was barely a whisper. Sarah jumped up. She's at school. Marcus, you're awake. You're really awake. Marcus tried to smile, but it hurt too much. Derek. In jail. Attempted murder. He's never getting out. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. You saved my life. Only way, Marcus breathed. Couldn't let him hurt you. You could have died, Sarah said, crying now. You almost did die. Worth it, Marcus said simply. Love you. Love Emma. Worth it. Over the next days, Marcus slowly improved. The doctors said he was incredibly lucky. The bullet had missed major organs by millimeters. But the damage to his spine meant he would need months of physical therapy, and even then they weren't sure if he would walk normally again. I don't care, Marcus said when they told him. I'm alive. Emma still has a father. But the struggles were just beginning. Marcus couldn't work. The medical bills were crushing. Their savings were gone. Sarah was working as many shifts as she could, but it wasn't enough. They were going to lose their apartment. We'll figure it out, Marcus said, trying to sound confident even from his hospital bed. How? Sarah asked, exhausted and scared. Marcus, I'm trying, but I don't know how to fix this. That's when Emma did something that broke everyone's heart. She had been saving her allowance for over a year to buy a bicycle. $5 a week in a pink piggy bank shaped like a unicorn. Her mother had given her that bank before she died. Emma brought the piggy bank to the hospital and smashed it on the floor. Here, Daddy, she said, holding out $247 in crumpled bills and coins. This can help pay for the doctors. Marcus stared at the money, then at his daughter's serious little face, and he started to cry. This strong man who had survived being shot, who never complained about the pain, broke down completely. Emma, no, he sobbed. That's your bicycle money. I don't need a bicycle, Emma said firmly. I need my daddy to get better. Mommy told me before she died that family is more important than anything. So here. Sarah was crying too. A nurse passing by stopped and started crying. Even Marcus's doctor, who had seen everything in 30 years of medicine, had to wipe his eyes. You're the bravest girl in the world, Marcus said, pulling Emma close. But I can't take this. Yes, you can, Emma said. Because that's what families do. They help each other. That moment changed everything. The nurse who had been watching posted the story on social media. Within hours, it went viral. News stations picked it up. Single dad takes bullet for girlfriend, 6-year-old daughter gives her savings to save him. People were moved. Deeply moved. A GoFundMe page appeared, set up by Marcus's co-workers. The goal was $50,000 to cover medical bills. They raised $200,000 in 3 days. Letters poured in from around the country. From other single parents. From people who had lost spouses. From strangers who saw in Marcus's story something worth believing in, that love was real, that sacrifice mattered, that ordinary people could be heroes. a construction company owner who had lost his own daughter, called Sarah. "I want to offer Marcus a management position when he recovers. Office work. Better pay. Health insurance for his whole family." A landlord who owned apartments across town called next. "I have a 3-bedroom apartment. He can live there rent-free for a year while he gets back on his feet." The hospital administrator quietly forgave a huge portion of their medical debt. But the greatest gift came from Emma. As Marcus slowly healed, learning to walk again through painful physical therapy, Emma never left his side. She would hold his hand during the hard sessions, count his steps, cheer when he made progress. 10 steps today, Daddy. Tomorrow we'll do 15. Marcus would look at his daughter, this tiny, fierce, loving girl, and find the strength to keep going. Every painful step was for her. Every morning he woke up fighting was because of her. Sarah watched them together and realized something profound. Marcus hadn't just saved her life that day in the diner. He had shown her what true love looked like. Not the controlling obsession Derek had called love, but this: sacrifice without hesitation, strength without ego, love without conditions. 3 months after the shooting, Marcus walked out of the hospital on his own. His gait was stiff, he tired easily, and he would probably always have some pain. But he was walking. The doctors called it remarkable. Marcus called it necessary. "I made promises to keep," he said simply. A crowd was waiting outside, friends, neighbors, strangers who had followed their story. When Emma saw her father walk through those doors, she ran to him, and Marcus caught her, lifting her up despite the pain. "You did it, Daddy. You kept your promise." "Always, Princess," Marcus said, holding her tight. "Always." Sarah stood beside them, crying happy tears. Marcus looked at her over Emma's head and mouthed 2 words, "Marry me?" Sarah nodded, crying harder now, unable to speak. 6 months later, on a beautiful autumn day, they got married. It was a simple ceremony in the park where they had first walked together as a family. Emma was the flower girl, wearing a dress that Sarah and she had picked out together. Marcus stood at the altar in a suit bought with money from the fundraiser, his hand gripping a cane but his eyes clear and bright. "You know," Marcus said during his vows, "I used to think being a hero meant never being afraid. But Emma taught me different. Being brave means being scared and doing it anyway. It means standing up even when you're shaking. It means taking the bullet because the alternative, losing the people you love, is worse than any pain." There wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. Sarah's vows were simpler. "You gave me everything when you had nothing to give. You showed me that real men don't control or possess, they protect and cherish. I will spend the rest of my life making sure you and Emma know how loved you are." Emma stood between them, holding both their hands, her smile bright enough to light the world. Derek watched from prison, bitter and broken. The trial had been quick. Too many witnesses, too much evidence. He would spend the next 25 years locked away, his empire crumbled, his power gone. Sometimes he would see the news stories about Marcus and Sarah, about how they had turned tragedy into hope. And Derek would feel something he had never felt before: regret. Not for the shooting. Derek was too broken for that. But regret that he had never understood what love actually was. He had called his obsession with Sarah love, but it was possession. Control. Fear disguised as passion. Real love, Derek finally understood, was what Marcus had shown. Walking through fire for someone else. Sacrificing everything without hesitation. Building up instead of tearing down. But that understanding came too late for Derek. Some people learn the lesson. Some people become the cautionary tale. Life wasn't perfect after that, but it was good. Marcus started his new job, managing construction projects from an office. The pay was better, the hours were regular, and he could attend every school event, every parent-teacher conference, every bedtime story. Sarah continued nursing, but now she came home to a family, to laughter and homework help and Sunday pancakes. Emma thrived. She joined the soccer team, made best friends, and wrote an essay about her father that won a school competition. My Hero, it was called, and in it she wrote, "Heroes don't wear capes. They wear work boots and pack school lunches and love you even when they're tired." The essay made Marcus cry. Again. He was learning that being emotional wasn't weakness, it was being human. The scars remained, of course. Marcus would always walk with a slight limp. Some mornings the pain would be bad and he would need to rest more. Loud noises still made Emma jump, remnants of that terrifying day in the diner. Sarah still had nightmares about Derek, about losing Marcus. But they had each other. They had therapy. They had love. And slowly, day by day, the good moments outnumbered the hard ones. On Emma's 9th birthday, 3 years after the shooting, they returned to the diner. It had been rebuilt, remodeled, but Marcus wanted to go back. He needed to show Emma, and himself, that fear didn't get to win. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked. Marcus nodded. "We don't let the bad days define us. We survived. We get to live. That's what matters." They sat in a different booth this time, ordered milkshakes and burgers, and talked about normal things: school projects, summer vacation plans, whether to get a puppy. Emma looked at her father across the table. "Daddy, do you remember what you told me that day? Before everything happened?" Marcus reached for her hand. "I told you I loved you to the moon and back. And I said I loved you times infinity," Emma finished. She squeezed his hand. "Still true. Always true." Marcus felt his throat tighten with emotion. "Always true, princess." That evening, as they walked home together, Marcus realized something. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was living. Really living. The bullet had taken so much: his health, his savings, his sense of safety. But it had also given something back. It had shown him what mattered. Not money or pride or status. Just love. Just family. Just being present for the people who needed him. "What are you thinking about?" Sarah asked, slipping her hand into his. "How lucky I am," Marcus said. "I know that sounds crazy, considering everything that happened. But I am. Lucky to be alive. Lucky to have you. Lucky to have Emma." "We're the lucky ones," Sarah said softly. "Not everyone gets to see what real courage looks like. Emma and I see it every day in you." Emma ran ahead, chasing fireflies in the twilight, her laughter floating back to them. Marcus watched her, this beautiful child who had given her bicycle money to save him, who had sat by his hospital bed every day, who had never stopped believing he would come back to her. "You know what Emma asked me yesterday?" Sarah said. "What?" "She asked if you were happy. She said she wanted to make sure you were happy like Mommy wanted." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. "What did you tell her?" "I told her the truth," Sarah said. "That you were the happiest man I knew. Because happiness isn't about having everything easy. It's about loving people and being loved back. It's about finding light in dark places." And that was the truth. Marcus's life hadn't turned out the way he expected. He lost his wife to cancer. He raised a daughter alone. He took a bullet meant for someone else. He nearly died. He lost everything he owned. But in losing everything, he had found what truly mattered. He had Emma's hand in his as they walked to school. He had Sarah's kiss goodnight. He had a job that let him be present for his family. He had neighbors who cared and friends who showed up. He had a second chance at life, earned through pain and paid for with sacrifice. Most of all, he had love. The real kind. The kind that doesn't quit when things get hard. The kind that runs toward danger instead of away from it. The kind that says, "I will protect you," and means it with every breath. On the 5th anniversary of the shooting, they received a letter. It was from Derek, written from prison. Sarah almost threw it away, but Marcus stopped her. "Let me read it," he said. The letter was short. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. What I did was evil, and I'll pay for it for the rest of my life. But I wanted you to know that watching your family from in here, seeing the news stories about Emma's graduation, about Sarah's volunteer work at the hospital, about your life together, it taught me something. I called it love, what I felt for Sarah. But it wasn't. Love is what you did. Taking that bullet. Building a life. Choosing her happiness over your own comfort every single day. I never knew how to love anyone but myself. That's why I'm here. That's why you're there with everything I wanted and could never have. I'm sorry for the pain I caused. I hope Emma grows up knowing her father is a real hero. Because he is. You are. Derek." Marcus read the letter twice, then folded it carefully. "He finally understands," Marcus said quietly. "Too late for him, but he understands. Do you forgive him?" Sarah asked. Marcus thought for a long moment. "I forgive what he made us become. Stronger. Closer. More grateful for every single day. The rest? That's between him and himself." Sarah kissed his cheek. "You're a better man than he ever could have been." Emma came home from college that weekend. She had grown into a remarkable young woman, studying to be a social worker, volunteering at shelters for domestic violence survivors, turning her own pain into purpose. She wanted to help families like hers, families that needed someone to believe in them. "I'm so proud of you," Marcus said over dinner that night. Emma smiled, that same bright smile from childhood. "I learned from the best. You taught me that being strong means protecting people who can't protect themselves. You showed me that real love is sacrifice." "Your mother taught me that," Marcus said. "And you remind me every day." They sat together, this family built from tragedy and love, and talked late into the night. Emma told stories about college. Sarah shared updates from the hospital. Marcus talked about the new project his company was building, affordable housing for single parents. That's perfect for you, Emma said. Helping other people who are struggling like we did. Paying it forward, Marcus agreed. So many people helped us. Time to help others. As the night wound down and Emma headed to bed, she paused at the doorway. Dad. Yeah, princess. I'm glad you took that bullet. Not because you got hurt, but because it proved something I always knew, that you would do anything for the people you love. That's the most important thing anyone ever taught me. Love isn't just words. It's action. It's sacrifice. It's showing up even when it's hard. Marcus felt his eyes water. Again. He would never get tired of his daughter's wisdom. You turned out better than I ever hoped, he said. Your mother would be so proud. She is, Emma said softly. I feel it sometimes. Her love. Still here. Still protecting us. And now Sarah's love too. I got two amazing mothers and the best father in the world. How lucky am I? She closed the door, and Marcus sat in the quiet living room, Sarah's head on his shoulder, both of them thinking about the strange journey that had brought them here. The bullet scar was still there, of course. Sometimes, when Marcus changed his shirt, he would catch sight of it in the mirror, a pale circle of twisted skin on his chest. A reminder of how close he had come to losing everything. But he didn't see it as a wound anymore. He saw it as a badge. Proof that he had loved hard enough to die for it. Evidence that some things were worth any price. Sarah traced the scar sometimes with her fingers, late at night when they couldn't sleep. Does it still hurt? Sometimes, Marcus admitted. But not as much as losing you would have hurt. Not nearly as much. I hope Emma never has to be that brave, Sarah whispered. She already is, Marcus said. She saved us that day too. Her courage. Her love. She's the bravest of all of us. Years passed as they do. Emma got married to someone who reminded Marcus of himself. Kind, hardworking, devoted. She had children of her own, two beautiful kids who called Marcus Grandpa, and climbed all over him despite his protests that his back hurt. You love it, Sarah teased, watching him build block towers with his grandchildren. I really do, Marcus admitted, laughing as the kids knocked down another tower. Sarah's hair was gray now. So was Marcus's. They moved a little slower, tired a little faster. But they still held hands on their evening walks. Still kissed goodnight. Still chose each other every single day. The diner became their tradition. Once a year, on the anniversary of the shooting, they would go back. Sometimes Emma joined them. Sometimes it was just the two of them. They would sit, order coffee, and remember. Not just the trauma, but the love. The sacrifice. The choice that Marcus had made in a split second that changed everything. Any regrets? Sarah asked on their 20th anniversary, sitting in that familiar booth. Marcus looked at her. This woman he had nearly died for, who had stood by him through everything, who had chosen him even when he had nothing to offer. Not even one, he said. Every scar was worth it. Every hard day led us here. I'd do it all again in a heartbeat. Sarah leaned across the table and kissed him. Me too. The story of the single dad who took a bullet spread far beyond their small city. It became a movie, then a book, then a foundation that helped single parents in crisis. Emma ran the foundation, using her father's story to raise money and awareness for families struggling like theirs had. People need to know that heroes are real, Emma said during a fundraising event. They're not in comic books. They're packing school lunches and working 2 jobs and taking bullets to protect the people they love. My father is a hero. And there are millions like him, single parents doing their best, loving their kids, showing up even when it's hard. This foundation is for them. Marcus watched from the audience, tears streaming down his face. He had never wanted to be famous. Never wanted attention. He had just wanted to protect his family. But if his story could help others, could give hope to struggling parents, could show people what love really looked like, then maybe the bullet had been worth more than just saving Sarah's life. Maybe it had saved something bigger. A belief in goodness. A proof that love was real. On Marcus's 65th birthday, the family gathered. Emma's kids, now teenagers. Sarah's nieces and nephews who had become part of their extended family. Friends from the construction site, now retired like Marcus. Neighbors who had watched this family grow and heal. They told stories. They laughed. They cried. They remembered Rebecca and honored her memory. They celebrated Sarah and the love she had brought back into their lives. They toasted Emma and her incredible compassion. But mostly they celebrated Marcus. This quiet, humble man who had never thought of himself as special but who had shown everyone what true heroism looked like. Speech. someone called out. Marcus stood slowly, his cane in one hand, Sarah's hand in the other. He looked around at all these faces, people he loved, people who loved him. "I'm not good with words," he started. "I'm just a construction worker who did what anyone would do. Protect the people you love. That's it. That's the whole secret." "It's not what anyone would do," Emma said firmly. "It's what heroes do. And you're our hero." Marcus's voice broke. "You're all mine. Every single one of you. You saved me just as much as I saved Sarah. You gave me reasons to fight, to heal, to keep going. A man with nothing to live for can't be brave. But a man with everything, with love and family and purpose, that man can face anything." He raised his glass. "To second chances. To families we're born into and families we choose. To love that's bigger than fear. And to my Emma, who has been my strength since the day she was born. I love you all. To the moon and back," Emma said, raising her glass. "Times infinity," everyone replied in unison. That night, after everyone had gone home, Marcus and Sarah sat on their porch. The same porch where Marcus had once sat alone after Rebecca died, wondering how he would survive. The same porch where Emma had sat with him, small and scared, trying to understand why Mommy wasn't coming home. But tonight that porch held different memories. It held laughter and love. It held the weight of years lived fully, of challenges overcome, of a family built from pain and sacrifice and choice. "What are you thinking about?" Sarah asked, her head on Marcus's shoulder. "Everything," Marcus said. "Rebecca. Emma as a baby. The shooting. All of it. This whole impossible, beautiful life." "Do you think Rebecca would approve?" Sarah asked quietly. "Of us?" Marcus smiled. "She told Emma to make sure I found love again. She wanted us to be happy. So yes, I think she approves. I think she sent you to us." "I believe that too," Sarah said. "She loved you both so much. That kind of love doesn't end. It just makes room for more." They sat in comfortable silence, watching fireflies dance in their yard. The same yard where Emma's children had played earlier today. The same yard where, someday, Emma's grandchildren would play. Life went on. The circle continued. Love multiplied. Marcus died at 73, peacefully in his sleep. He had lived longer than anyone expected after taking that bullet. Doctors called it miraculous. Marcus called it having too much to live for to quit early. His funeral was attended by hundreds. Single parents whose lives had been changed by the foundation. Construction workers he had mentored. Emma's family. Sarah's colleagues. Strangers who had heard his story and been inspired. Emma gave the eulogy, her voice strong even through tears. "My father taught me that love isn't passive. It's a verb. It's action. It's sacrifice. When he took that bullet, he was telling all of us something important, that the people we love are worth protecting, worth fighting for, worth dying for. But more than that, he showed us they're worth living for. Every day he woke up and chose us. Chose to be present. Chose to love harder. Chose to turn pain into purpose." She paused, crying now. "Daddy, you kept every promise you ever made. You loved me to the moon and back times infinity. You showed me what real strength looks like. You built a family from broken pieces and made it beautiful. I hope I make you proud. I hope you're with Mommy now, telling her about us, about how we turned out okay. We love you. We always will." Sarah stood beside Emma, holding her hand, both of them crying for this man who had saved them in every way a person can be saved. But Marcus's legacy lived on.